What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Of Like Minds video podcast. We have a super special guest and super close friend of mine. Everyone, please welcome Mr. Karsten Cayabyab. Karsten, thank you so much for coming on today.
Hi, thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Kevin, for having me. I really appreciate it. Don't know why you would, but it's okay.
Well, Karsten, you have a special place in my heart, and I'm excited to share your narrative today and just want to kind of start your story and you talking a little bit about where you grew up and what that was like.
Yeah, I was born in Vallejo, and then I grew up in a town called Fairfield Sassoon. Geographically, I wouldn't necessarily consider it part of the Bay Area, but in my heart, I'm from the Bay. um, yeah, that's where I was born and raised. I went to school in Fairfield, in a private Catholic school,
Mm.
and then um, danced in a studio in Fairfield. I mean, I was just born right outside of an Air Force base or I was raised outside of an Air Force base because my dad was in the Air Force.
Mm. Were you in private school, like for what years? Like just K through five, six, or was it all throughout high school, or what was that like?
I was in Catholic school from K through 8, and then a private Lasallian school, which is just a Catholic denomination, or not Catholic denomination, it's like Catholic order,
Mm.
from in high school.
Well, one, what was that like? I come from a public schooling system throughout my entire schooling career, and so if you can just talk and shed a little bit of light on what it's like going to a private school.
Um, I mean, I can't speak on the other end. Like, I was never in a private school education until I got to college.
Mm.
Um, So, in my experience, it wasn't anything bad. I thought it was just normal curriculum. Instead of having an extra period or whatever, we would have religion class,
Mm.
uh, and I mean, it was fine. I didn't think anything negative of it. The only thing I had was um, it was just I was literally just born into that religion. I wasn't able to kind of explore or kind of choose in that direction. Not that I don't have that capability now. It's just growing up in a private institution and then going to high school in a private institution. Um, it felt sort of spoon fed. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Um, Sort of just kind of shoved down your throat uh, of religion and Catholicism and what it means to be Catholic and the values to live by and all that. So um, I would say I kind of had a distaste of Catholicism towards the
Mm.
end of the high school career. Um, but um, Going into college, having that first, freedom of doing things on your own, um, I didn't have any sort of spiritual guidance or religious guidance at all. So I had that void and I kind of felt it throughout the years. So it brought me kind of back towards Catholicism and it brought me to value my religion when I had more so. So again, in the moment of being in a private institution from K through high school, it was fine. Again, it was just kind of given to me because that's what my parents were, and that's what I am now. But I had my disconnect with my religion, and then that disconnect ultimately kind of just brought me back to it, which I appreciate.
That's huge. One, thank you for sharing that. Two, just going back to the private institution that you attended, essentially K through 12, and maybe just talking a little bit about the resources that were available to you in terms of academia, in terms of extracurricular. Like, what were those resources like um, in the private institution?
Um, I mean, I don't necessarily know uh, what I had access to versus what other people didn't have access to. You know what I mean? Um, I we were very I think I was very fortunate to um, grow up in that sort of environment. I never felt um, harm. I never felt any fear of anything. It was just a safe place to be. both schools were small. My K through eighth grade, it was the same 40 people for all of those years. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And then from in high school, it was the same 100 something people. You know, or my class was 130 or something like that. So, uh, and the school was yay big versus every other public school that I've seen or been to. So it uh, it it is what it was what it was. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So like um, we did have in terms of being a private institution, we had a church right next to our school essentially, so we had that available to us. We had the ability to go to mass, to attend mass, to have that community sort of, not just the school community but also the parish community, um, and those were separate but within the uh, same kind of group of people. You know what I mean? So um, I don't know, does that really answer your question? I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah, no, no, that's good. And I think just kind of going along that too, you talked about having the smaller environments in terms of like your class size, and so I guess making for more intimate spaces. If you can maybe speak on what it was like to learn, you have that consistency of you're kind of growing up with, for the most part, the same group of kids and also a
Mhm.
smaller group of kids. Maybe the teacher can have a little bit more bandwidth to give to each of those students as opposed to a classroom of maybe 60, 50. If you could just talk about the pros and cons for you personally of being in, smaller school environment. If you can just talk about that.
um, So I don't know, when you were in middle school or whatever, did you have to like transfer from class to class, whether it was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, our whole day was inside the same room.
Mm.
Um, and it was set to the point where, you would kind of have like 45 minutes to an hour of one subject, another 45 of another one, and then you have like sort of recess outside and then come back to the same room. It was the same environment. You know what I mean? I
Mm.
think that um, helped in the sense that um, you didn't have to like worry about making class on time, and you didn't have to worry about tardiness. You were just there um, from the day or from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the same classroom, unless it's like a science course where you have to actually take a lab. Where
Mm-hmm.
our school was not big at all, so it was right next door. Same thing with the cafeteria; it was like right connected to the gymnasium, which was right connected to the church. It
Mm-hmm.
was it it yeah, you're right. It was very much an intimate setting, and it allowed for, you know, the teacher to kind of have more of a discipline for the whole class. You know what I mean? You're not taking care of as many kids, so you don't have to worry about as many um, quote unquote troublemakers, if any. So um, again, it's kind of hard to kind of talk on that, just in the sense that it was so long ago, and I
Yeah.
don't remember most of those
Yeah.
things.
No, for sure. I mean, it's just it's
That was
definitely
mainly.
something.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, it's definitely something that's interesting to me. Just coming from like a completely opposite school environment, so it's pretty interesting to hear like being kind of confined to like that space for every single one of your classes. And I mean, were you having the same teacher teaching different subjects, or what was like, were they kind of rotating in and out, or was it the same?
No, so
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, each grade had its set teacher. The only um, the only specific subject teachers we had were math, and that was only from fifth through eighth, and then
Mm-hmm.
science. It was I think science. It was split up,
Mm-hmm.
and then PE, where we'd be outside with our PE teacher. But otherwise, it was the same teacher teaching, religion, social studies.
Mm.
What other subjects are there in school? Phonics, vocabulary, spelling, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So that's mainly in like middle school, elementary. Once you got to high school, it was the same sort of structure, but now it's more free. I had a locker. I went
Mm-hmm.
from class to class, but especially in K through 8, it was just that one grade. It was a teacher,
Mm.
teacher assistant. You know what I mean? Um, and it was over 40 people, and it was. I thought it was nice. I thought it was
Yeah.
beneficial. Yeah.
Did you feel like that consistency of having like seeing that same face and that same, mentor or teacher, did you feel like that was like kind of beneficial to you learning? Obviously, at that point, we're so young and we're kind of just adjusting to our environments, but did you feel like that was kind of advantageous to you in a learning sense, having that consistency and kind of what was that like?
Um, I don't know. It was nice in the sense that all our friends were kind of just there. Everyone was there. Everyone knew each other. Everyone. I mean, I don't think I disliked people in middle school. Um, but um, I don't know. Again, I can't really recall whether or not it was necessarily beneficial or not. I just learned, you're learning, you're learning.
Yeah.
I didn't pay attention to necessarily um, my environment, although I guess I should have thought about that. But yeah, I mean, it was just class. I just thought of it as school.
Cool, cool, cool. Kind of going into now knowing you, Karsten, correct me if I'm wrong, you're the baby of your siblings, correct? Not that you're not. Wait, yeah,
You
wait,
said
yeah,
you
wait.
you said close friend. You're the baby of this.
You know what's so funny is that as soon as I said that, I was like, this doesn't feel right. And I'm like totally forgetting or correcting. You have one younger sibling. Yes. And you have an older brother and an older sister, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, kind of being like more so kind of the middle child. One, if you can talk about the relationship you have with your siblings, we can just start with that first. So, however order you want to go, but just your relationship with your siblings. Let's kind of focus in more so growing up before going on to college, and we'll get to that in a second.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. So I have an older brother. His name's uh, Joseph, but I don't call him that. I call him Kuyang.
Mhm.
Obviously, Filipino. Okay. I guess that's not obvious. um, we have quite a bit of an age gap. It's 11 years. So when really I was becoming cognizant of my, who I was and all that, um, he was already kind of established. I think he was going into college as I remember.
Mm,
So um, he's essentially my hero. You know what I mean?
mm,
He essentially he can't do anything wrong. You know what I mean? In my head, in my eyes, he
mm,
doesn't do anything wrong. Um, he was he was always there for me until he left. I remember when I was a kid, and he was kind of my siblings and I all went to the same school
mhm,
structure, so
mhm.
we all went to Holy Spirit. Shout out to Soon. Then we went to Justin Siena in Napa, um, and we all kind of just piggybacked off each other. We even did that for college, most of us. So um, I always wanted to follow in his footsteps. You know what I mean? I always wanted to follow kind of the career he had, the choices he made, um, and the life he kind of lives. He's a very intelligent man. He's a caring father now, but like growing up, he again same thing. He could do no wrong. Um, he was very athletic. Mom loved him. I'm a mama's boy myself, so seeing that my mom loved him so much, same thing. I want mommy, right? Um, uh, but yeah, in terms of my brother, again, he's essentially just my hero. You know what I mean? Um, Again, when he was in eighth grade going to high school, he would bring me, I was still a child again. If he was, how old are we in eighth grade?
13?
If he was 13, I was what, two? 11 years, right? I
Yeah.
was two. Same thing, high school. Is it going into high school? He would bring me to, or my mom was also, just like a parent that was
Mhm,
involved in like lunch lady duties and like
mhm,
watching the recesses and all that. So if I would be at school with my brother, he would, go out of his way and like carry me. You know what I mean?
mhm,
Uh, Things that I remember is that when he was in college and we were still young, um, the night before he left, because I essentially, when he left, I took his room, right?
mm,
So when he comes home for Christmas, I would go back sleeping in my parents' room, but just on the floor. So what?
mhm,
It's a couple days. So when he would leave, I would be essentially sleeping with him, and then he would kind of tuck me in because it would always be like a red eye. So or not a red eye, just late at night. So he would tuck me in and then kind of leave. And that was always nice, in my opinion, because again, he's essentially
Mm-hmm.
almighty, you know what I mean? So that's my brother. My older sister, um, we we're we're tight too. I mean, I think I'm close to all my siblings. I have had the fortunate circumstance of, you know, having those trial and errors with them. But me and my older sister Rihanna, also don't call her that. She's usually Aka, but um, she's also, you know, I've seen her grow up a lot, and I've seen her make mistakes, and I've seen her um, grow out of that, and that really inspired me to where I'm right now. So growing up, it was, you know, it was that normal. We're 4 years apart now, so
Mm-hmm.
we're closer. So she was, uh, I was fourth grade, she was eighth grade, something like that. So um, I think there's always that struggle or that distaste in sort of, oh, I'm older and more mature or whatever, and you're the younger sibling. So there was those moments, but um, you know, she always had my back as well, and that's still longs to this day. She uh, would always same thing like my brother. She would always, you know, have me around when I was younger, and then she's the one that kind of got me into dance. So appreciative of that as well. So um, but yeah, I mean, she's my older sister. She's done great. I look to her a lot nowadays, more so than before,
Mm-hmm.
just because I can connect with her a lot easier. Again, we're not that far apart, so there isn't such a huge generational gap. So um, she understands things that I struggle through, that she similarly struggled through, and you know, worked out of. And then my younger sister, Eden, um, she's a brat. She's always been a brat, but like, you know, same thing. You know, I'm the older sister or sibling now, sister. Hey, older sibling
Mm-hmm.
now, and she's my younger sister. So, um, again, there's always like, oh, you're my younger sister. I remember when we would go to school together, and she wanted to hold my hand as like we would go into school. This is in middle school. I would tell her, no, you can't do that, you know, because I was too cool for that. So I
Breaking
would
her
make her,
heart.
yeah, seriously, I would make her hold my backpack.
You're terrible.
Yeah, it was not nice. But now she's the same thing. She's all grown up now too, and uh, there's always, you know, I feel like a lot similar storylines for a lot of siblings. At least
Mm-hmm.
is you have that, you know, growing up disconnect, but then you start to appreciate each other for who you are and for how they help you and you help them
Mm-hmm.
similarly. Um, and yeah, now me and my little sister, we just joke around all the damn time. But it's nice to see her finally grow up, and she just recently graduated, so um, it's nice to see her, you know, joining the adult force, sort of thing.
Yeah. 20, she class of 2020, like just
Yeah,
recently
she
graduated.
literally
Wow.
just graduated. She had that virtual graduation.
Man,
Yeah.
this class is having it tough because we're probably still going to be pretty deep into this even when they graduate. I'm just thinking ahead, like when they graduate college, it's like it's probably still going to be very much like this. So it's tough for them to navigate, I'm sure.
Not only that, just like think about not only the college institutions, think about the, you know, the middle schoolers, the high schoolers. That's even crazier.
just learning. Yeah, it's being
Those
a kid right now
fundamental,
is really tough, and
exactly.
I really feel but just getting back to the siblings, Carson, it's one really awesome to see you talking about your siblings with such a light. And I would also love to know if you can just share a little bit about maybe the influence of your parents on you, and at focusing on the same time frame with you growing up pre-college, and maybe even giving a little light to what it's like growing up in the Filipino household and having multiple siblings.
Uh, so my dad was in the Air Force. And then later on, as he became like part of the reserves, he worked at AT&T in telecommunications. My mom was always a homemaker. Um, so since my mom was, he had a long commute, my dad, so he would leave before I would even wake up and then come back after late in the night. So since my mom was always there, I kind of gravitated more towards my mom, especially growing up for sure. Plus, again, like I said, I'm kind of just my mom's child. That's dumb to say, but you know what I mean. But yeah, growing up in a Filipino household, I was very much whitewashed. Yeah. My middle school, it was kind of diverse. I wouldn't say it was mainly Asian or mainly any sort of ethnicity. But high school, it was up in Napa, which is 30 minutes away from where I lived. I took a bus to school. And that was the main demographic was Caucasian. So I wasn't really well versed in my ethnicity really until I kind of got more into college. Um, my mom, I mean, obviously the foods would still be the same, but she wouldn't use like Filipino terms. So she wouldn't say sinigang, right? She would say it's fish soup, you know what I mean? Or she wouldn't say, I mean, we would have like things like lumpia. You can't really like egg rolls, but she would say lumpia. But like bistec, she would just say it's beef. You know what I mean? So I would never, when I got into college, and then people, when you're joining those like Filipino groups, and they're asking, oh, what's your favorite Filipino dish, and all this, and they're responding, I'm just like, oh, I don't know the names. I thought my favorite dish is called caldereta, right? But I just knew it as, kind of like a beef stew, right? So very much whitewashed, and I don't regret any of it, or I'm not opposed to any of it, or I don't have any disdain towards how I was raised. The only thing I wish I did, which it's really on me, is ignorance, is I didn't learn the language, conversationally, maybe little words, but I'm not fluent in Tagalog at all. I'm not fluent in Filipino at all. And we took class together.
Yeah. We did.
Yeah. So, yeah, my grandma would try to teach me, but I just wouldn't. I wouldn't. I I I feel like I remember vividly. I was essentially refusing. I was refusing to do so. And again, dumb part on me, right? Like I wish I was bilingual. I wish I was trilingual. You know what I mean? But what was that? I was going to say something. But I mean, I forgot. But yeah, I mean, I think the most Asian thing or most Filipino thing we did was, observe our church calendar. I would go to church every Sunday during the months of May, Mother Mary, and I think October. I'm almost gonna be mad at that, but one of those, we would say the rosary every day at night. So one thing that was very Filipino of us is just the religious aspect. Going back to Catholicism and being raised in that sort of environment. But in terms of being in an Asian household, I wouldn't say it was all Asian other than food. And most of my mom's friends were Filipino. Most of my friends were Filipino, maybe not. But a lot of the studio or the dance studio I kind of grew up in, a lot of them were Filipino, and a lot of those girls became sort of like older sisters and sisters to me. So again, I don't think it was necessarily negligent of my ethnicity. It's just I don't think I grew up in a traditional Filipino household. I don't think so.
Absolutely. Well, I know, you talked about kind of, some of the things like the culture and the food, like you had said, and things trying to be introduced to you in the household. And I know something that's big in, our culture is, doing well academically. And so if you can talk a little bit about your journey in terms of, maybe we can focus on a high school in terms of what your views were of pursuing higher education, and then ultimately, spoiler alert, getting to UCLA. So if you can just talk about, that journey in academia, getting to UCLA.
Again, kind of piggybacking on my previous answers, I'm the third child, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I had an older brother, I had an older sister. Both of them, like I said before, is we piggybacked off each other, right? We essentially followed each other through our academics. My brother went to UCLA in 2000. My sister went to UCLA in 2007. I went to UCLA in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't think there was ever a time where I didn't think higher education wasn't possible.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I was very blessed in that sense, where it was always, the goal was always elementary or middle school, high school, and college. That was never, I don't think that was ever in question. Um, so I, again, can't say more, but it was, that's a great blessing thinking about it now. It's just having that sense or that security sort of thing. Uh, Not that I would, be for sure get accepted, but like, having that security of, oh, I'm going to go to a UC. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
Um, that's that was always the plan. And you're right. I mean, that's a big part of it too. I didn't have chores growing up. Um, my mom would tell me my only chore was to get good grades. So that's what I did. I got good grades. Um, got good grades all throughout middle school. Got good grades all throughout high school, for the most part, and then again was fortunate to apply to UCLA and then get in. Um, so um, yeah.
Love that. I appreciate that. And, you know, kind of going back to the initial thing that we are talking about, you being in the private institution, K through, 12 essentially, that transition going from a private institution to a huge public university in UCLA. And one, talking about that transition, and then two-part question, kind of talking a little bit about the spaces that you got really involved with over the years at UCLA. So transition and then spaces you were involved in.
Yeah, going into college, it was very much a culture shock.
Mm-hmm.
Again, most of my friends in high school were white, they were Caucasian. And I kind of uh, felt comfortable, a little more comfortable with them than other Asians, which is weird now that I think about it, but that's what it was. So going into college, my roommate was Filipino, France. He was Filipino, and he had this huge Dragon Ball Z poster in our room when I got there. Uh, and my first thought was, oh my God, I'm going to be with a floppy Asian,
Mm-hmm.
right? Isn't that so rude? Like,
Yeah.
so ignorant. So um, it was just a culture shock. Like I didn't know I honestly, I can say I didn't know the Filipino culture. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Um, Other than being versed in the foods, and
Yeah.
being versed in what my family, um, big family values, big religious values. So um, getting into an institution like UCLA where there's all sorts of people and all shapes and all sizes and all colors, it was a big culture shock. I didn't know how to kind of transition in. And I don't think, again, hindsight is 2020, but I don't think I was prepared. Uh, I thought I was probably going in there, but now I know I wasn't. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I was thrown into a place where all the decisions I make fell on me now at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't prepared for that weight for a little bit. I still am not today. But, you know, as with anything, you kind of adjust, you learn. And you learn on the spot. You just try to uh, you try to improve, and that's what I try to do. Um, Take it day by day. You can't really expect anything other than what is going on. So, as with anything, I struggled, and for the most part, I did struggle for a long time. But um, it was nice to have those sort of spaces that I could get involved in. You know what I mean? Um, so my sister was on Samahang Modern also.
Mm-hmm.
Before I was, she was on the team before I was, and then she left college as I entered. So we didn't have that overlap, me and my sister. But um, so really the first thing that I got involved in college was the dance team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then from there, since there's ties with Samahang Filipino, that's when I got kind of involved in Samahang Filipino.
Mm-hmm.
But I was really initially, um, my sister's like, don't become a Samahang Binger, which I don't, I mean, that I guess that just means someone that's really involved in Samahang Filipino.
Okay. I was like, okay.
Yeah, so she's like, don't become a Samahang Binger. I'm like, okay, well, I won't. Just like my brother said, don't join a TDB. Am I supposed to say that?
I'm sure Ryan's gonna find that funny.
But yeah, I mean, the first thing I got involved in was Samhang Modern, and then that was kind of my home for a long time, and then
Mm-hmm.
stemmed out to Samhang Filipino, made good friends there, and then those were the really main two clubs that I was involved in. I didn't really stem out until later in college, um, and I didn't start doing work study and all that until later in college as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're talking initially, it was really
Yeah.
just those two.
Yeah. And I think that's really awesome how the first couple of spaces that you were kind of giving to those extracurriculars were, those Filipino organizations. And I always found that like really awesome how you, even though it is a tough transition, that was something that you were willing to jump into. And also kind of taking us through that too as well, Karsten, going into university, just shedding a little bit of light on, what you focused on your major, and what it was like navigating through those classes. You being South Campus, I know that's presents its own difficulties. So if you can just shed some light on what that journey was like.
I was ambitious. I was an ambitious little brat going into college. I got in as a sci major, um, but I wanted more, and I wanted to be an engineer originally. So I wanted to become, way back when in high school, I wanted to become a biomed engineer, um, and do prosthetics for um, people without limbs. Big reason for that was I would travel for dance sometimes, and the best dancers that were out there were people without a hand or someone that had half an arm. And um, every single time, just because of the way they look, but they were the most full out, they were the most passionate. Um, they were just limited, just not to their own doing. So I felt for that a lot, and that kind of inspired me to want to go into engineering, go into specifically biomedical engineering. But again, just ambitious little punk. So I try to take all the prerequisites for engineering. So I take the higher Chem course, the Chem 20 series, I think, and then
Mm-hmm.
the 30 series for math. And my first quarter was 28 with Professor Baugh, and I essentially tanked. So, uh, but since I mean, I tanked, but I passed. So since I passed, I had to go on to 20B, and I
Mm.
had to finish the track.
Oh my god.
So I got stuck into a series that was much more challenging than I originally thought, and paid the price for it. So uh, I didn't even apply to be into engineering school because again, you had to have like essentially a 4.0 and then something else. But yeah, so I mean, again, everything was on. I think the big thing in college is everything is on you, and
Mm-hmm.
the later on you realize that the more difficult it becomes. And I realized that late. I mean, not only in the sense that, oh, it's not that I didn't know it, because obviously I knew it. It's just until you actually make that into an action, until you put it into action and actually make purposeful decisions for yourself, then nothing's going to come to fruition. So it was just hard and harder and harder. One thing with school, at least, was the poorer I did, the more I delved myself into other things, stupidly. Again, hindsight again. But I would think that kind of my failures in academics would be shadowed by my successes in my extracurriculars. And I didn't get that. My extracurriculars were just that extra. You know what I mean? I didn't know that they were just extra. Or I did, but you know what I mean? So like, if you're proficient here and you're seemingly successful here, it's going to cover up. No, it's not the thinking. So I didn't finish with Phi-Sci. I finished with a bio major, and that's not don't take away anything from a bio major. It's just, you know, it's not what the plan necessarily was, I guess, but it's nice because it did introduce me into a lot of things that I was interested, or that I'm interested in now, sort of thing. Mainly just like conservation, ecology, and all that. So yeah, that was kind of my educational experience at UCLA. Again, it was hard, it was tough. I went from being, you know, feeling confident as everyone. I feel like in the UCLA, it's just a very competitive environment in general. But I went from feeling, you know, super smart into feeling super dumb. And that was really quick, especially with like, you know, the friends that I had, you know, very successful, very, you know, doing good things, doing big things. And it's not a comparison ever. I know that. But, you know, it's hard to kind of keep up with that.
Absolutely. And if you can just talk a little bit about, I think, just going into college with an idea and actually not even knowing that was the inspiration from the conventions, and when you had traveled and you'd kind of seen those people and being like, wow, it's not even on these people, like it's just that was their situation. And if you can just talk about, you know, you going into college wanting to pursue something, things happen, having to do something else. I mean, it's tough. What did that do for your mental in terms of, you know, even the way you speak about it now, you're kind of like looking back at it like, you know, it wasn't what you initially came into. So how did you even adjust, and how did you even move forward? Because that is another class load and another regimen in itself in pursuing bio. So what was that pivot like for you?
It was forced, kind of. I didn't want to leave a life science. I still wanted my BS. So I chose something that I could still excel in, sort of thing. It was a big letdown, I guess, in terms of my capabilities. It's not that I didn't have the ability to be successful academically. It's just I neglected it. So rather than, you know, study all night for an exam, I would study maybe half the night, and then focus on other things that my extracurriculars were adding up. You know, the more I delved into it, the more responsibilities happened and the more I had to do for them. So rather than cut that off and then delve into my academics, that suffered. So it sucked, obviously. I mean, but I'm much better for it. I know that for sure. It's all about being able to adjust. It's all about adapting. You know what I mean? It's all about life giving you lemons and you make lemonade. You know what I mean? To put it idiomatically. So like, it was an interesting experience, but again, I can't be thankful for it enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you even know this, but I didn't finish until 2018. I finished.
We talked about,
Yeah, I finished after winter quarter 2018, technically, and that's because I purposefully kind of took it slow. So rather than having a full course load, I would be working full time and then taking it essentially two courses or one course at a time. And
Yeah.
that helped me because then I had time to, excel at work and then also excel at school. I learned how I learned. You know what I mean? Everyone has their own
Mhm.
learning curve. Everyone has their own learning experience. And that's what I took from it. You know what I mean? So I had to reevaluate. I had to step back. I had to adjust and then reattack. You know what I mean? It's a big time. But again, I, I, I love that. It's kind of my favorite thing to think about sometimes because
Mm.
it was literally you being at your bottom and then um,
Yeah.
getting out of it, and you um, working for yourself,
Mm.
um, you improving for yourself. That's the way I saw it.
Absolutely. I mean, well, one, just thank you for sharing that bit. I think, there's such a pressure to, you want to be in and out and finish school for 4 or 5 years, depending if you're doing engineering, right? And I think, our class, and we were able to walk together in 2015. I mean, that extra, 3 years, like for you to have this self awareness. I mean, I just want to say, for you to, like you had said, do it the best way that I learn, and I need to go about this the best way, like having that awareness and just being really real with yourself. Um, so much, so much respect and so much praise for that, because I think we're all just trying to get through it quickly, and I think that's just like amazing for you. So, for those that are tuning in, just seeing that, going at your own pace is really the best. I think we're taught to just go go go, and for you to go at that and have your own tempo is pretty incredible. um, Talking about back to the extracurriculars, Karsten, and you're juggling a bunch of things in college. One of the biggest difficulties I found myself was time management. And not only were you doing extracurriculars, but you were leadership in these positions, whether you were like captain or director on modern, being on committee and taking leadership roles, whether you were directing suites, so on and so forth. So if you can just talk a little bit about being on leadership in those spaces that you were involved in, and then also kind of digging more into the culture, us always being a part of culture night, always being a part of SP in some form since freshman year, like just talking about those things.
So what you want me to kind of answer on the time management of things, or just like
Just what it was like, just being in leadership in those spaces, and just kind of getting further immersed in our culture.
I didn't really get leadership positions until my third year. I didn't really try to be a leader on modern until my third year. Excuse me. Um, but my first year leadership in modern, it was great. I mean, I thought it was fun. It was a dual sort of thing. So like I was a leadership again, sorry, leadership on modern, and then I was leadership on um, committee. I mean, I was
Mhm.
cast modern suite, but uh, it was fun. It was my one of the most memorable experiences in my college career. Um, it took again, yeah, it took a lot of time, um, especially on modern. You know how we would just kind of practice in parking lots until 2 or 3. I think that year, leadership, myself included, uh, incorporated the whole we stay as a team in the sense that no one would leave until everyone was done.
Mm.
So even if we were cleaning a section that I wasn't in or someone wasn't in, they had to stay until everyone was done. And was that kind of smart? I don't know. I guess it helped with morale, but you know, did it even? And I don't. It probably led to more burnout, if anything.
Yeah.
Um, but that's why I kind of enjoyed it because the other side of leadership, the whole being on modern or cast modern,
Mhm.
which is for those that are listening, uh, is kind of just a recreational sort of dance team for specifically for the culture night. That was, again, it was so much fun. You know what I mean? You saw me as I taught them. It was a smile from ear to ear. Yeah, it's just, you know, it was being there for what I love dance to be. You know what I mean? It was being in a space where dance wasn't something that was competitive. It wasn't something to compare my choreo with someone else's. It wasn't there to outshine someone else. It was there um, to free your body and to have physical activity and to just move to music that made you want to move. And I loved that. I loved sharing that with other people. I loved sharing my friends' choreo with them. You know, I think Caitlin, Lucia, like they all shared their own choreo, and all of it was just, you know, so fun, so upbeat, so such a positive attitude. Even like as culture night kind of came close and we would kind of stay later, I mean, I didn't mind that because it was still just, it wasn't about nailing every 8 count. It wasn't about being clean or looking like one person. It was more just dancing, and that's something I appreciate out of anything. So there was kind of like a dual story in my leadership positions. It was one was tough and grueling, but the other one was so freeing and my safe space sort of thing. So those, I think, were really the only kind of leadership things I did. I was also, I think, I don't know.
Well, one, thank you for sharing, both sides of the coin in that aspect. And, for those that are tuning in and listening, about to give you a lot of love right now. Dance is a huge part, has played a huge role in your life, whether you like to admit it and let on or not. And
Trying to say,
just just a couple things from my side. You are, I always felt like people would, in some ways, and it was more so people in my ear, like putting us against each other. Or like, I don't know if you ever felt that, but I have honestly, since day one, I've always had a huge admiration for you, and you are honestly one of my favorite movers, and I don't say that lightly. And
Thank you.
it's it's really, for someone, you and I always talk about how you and I went about dance very differently, and it's in terms of, I always felt that you had all the ability in the world, and you just decided not to. You didn't. Your heart wasn't there to pursue it in that sense, right? As in, I'm going back to 18-year-old Karsten, 18-year-old Kevin. I was very much like, I'm doing this shit, and so one, you being like a purist, and you having that training since like you were a baby. Us coming from like similar backgrounds. If you can just shed some light on the importance of dance in your journey, not just like in these extracurriculars that has led to, but really just your life and the life lessons you've learned and gained over the years because you've been doing this. If you can just talk a little bit about that, what dance has served for you.
I mean, dance is everything. Not to be cliche, but it has been. I started when I was 3. It's kind of been that consistent thing in my life, you go into things and then you quit things, but dance has always been there. I mean, to a certain extent, still today, obviously not doing it so much, but it's still something I can rely on. So it's still something I can do. And I don't like to say I dance. I like to say I prance.
Only you. Only you.
I just prance around out there. But yeah, I mean, it's a huge thing. It was starting from very young, instilled so many great things, especially the studio I grew up in, where it really focused on movement. You know what I mean? It cultivated movers. It didn't cultivate technicians. Obviously, you should see my point now. It's not existent. I'm not going to listen. But yeah, I mean, even today, some of the best dancers that I know and that I look up to, they're they they're they're from my studio. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And that's only because, again, our instructor Lisa, she she just knew how to she knew how to get that out of you. She knew how to pull it out of you. She knew how
Mm.
to, maybe it was just maybe it was her choreo, maybe it was how she taught, but she uh, I mean, I can't say enough. I mean, she made me the dancer I am today. You know what I mean? Um, and not only that, it's just it builds discipline. It builds so many good characteristics for anyone. You know what I mean? As we learn in dance, for me at least, essentially after school, from middle school to high school, it was 3 to 6 in the studio. And then
Mm.
as it transitioned to high school, it was 6 to 9 in the studio
Yeah.
rather than 3 to 6. Being essentially 2 classes, one in an hour and a half of ballet, and then another an hour and a half of either jazz tap or strength conditioning. So it builds good habits. It helps. I feel like it helps uh, your body grow properly, or I don't
Mm.
know, align your body at least. Like
Mhm.
I don't
Mhm.
have posture problems,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, but um, again, it was the first kind of experience where it teaches, or I keep talking about it. It's just, adapting to your situation. Dance is the first place I learned that. You know what I mean? In the sense that you're in a space of dancers or you're on stage and something happens. What do? You don't just keep dancing. If someone falls off the stage or if someone hurts themselves and has to go off stage, what do? You fill in the window. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? You don't just leave a huge gap center or a huge gap right
Mhm.
here. You fill in the window. You make it work.
Mhm.
Um, Going into college and dance, it was so strange to have a tech, in my opinion.
Mm.
You know how you would have that like early morning tech sort of thing?
Mhm. Yeah.
I guess the informations were different, but it's still essentially the same. You
Mhm.
have two people, there's someone going to split them, or you're going to have a straight line, diagonal, where you line up shoulder to shoulder. You know, it it was the first few times I got it after a few competitions, but the first few times when someone would say, "Let's practice our tech," I'm just like, "Why are we doing this?" You know what I mean? Why can't you just have spatial awareness? Uh, not I don't you know what I
Yeah.
mean, right? Like
Yeah.
it's like initially I was just like we're wasting 5-10 minutes doing this when we can be improving how we dance or
Mm.
whatever. So I don't know. Um, but yeah, I mean it's still something. I mean in college, okay, so you said I had all the ability. Going into college, I thought I would try to do both. Um,
Mm.
I thought I would try to go to school and be a professional dancer. But I didn't have the will, I guess, to go up to uh, NoHo or North Hollywood and
Mhm.
go to those studios. You know what I mean? My biggest inspiration was Karen. You know, she was, I think she was a double major,
Mhm.
and then she also was a professional dancer. Like, dude, she was amazing. She is amazing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Uh, I always wanted to pick her brain, but it that's what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? I wanted to, stay in it academically and then also try to dance as well. And I was signed with an agency my first year in college,
Mhm.
but being landlocked and then, you know, uh, fluctuating schedules all the time, I just didn't go out. I didn't go to these auditions that my agent was sending me on. So um, I didn't have I mean, Uber and Lyft were probably there, but I just didn't know those capabilities.
Yeah.
I didn't try. The big thing was just trying. And then I didn't talk to my superior. So like I wasn't willing to go to my professor and be like, hey, can we talk about this? You know, like, oh, I have something coming up here and here. I know that there are big dates here and here. Is there anything we can kind of arrange? I didn't have that gumption. I didn't have that confidence to go to my professors or even my academic counselors and use that resource. So, and then it's all towards preparation. I wasn't prepared. So that quickly kind of fell through the cracks. And then I got into modern, and then that's where dance kind of became more of a hobby. You know what I mean? So rather than taking it more seriously, trying to train and, you know, go out, it was more, oh, I'll do it for sort of the social aspect of things, you know. And again, nothing against modern at all. It's a great organization, but because I met so many great people that I hold dear to my heart today, but it wasn't my type of dancing. You know what I mean? It wasn't my favorite part of dancing at all. But you know, you adapt, you change, and you go into spaces that made you feel good about yourself and good about dancing again. And that's where you kind of jumped in. You know what I mean? The whole happy feet thing. I know people kind of saw it as elitist, but like, it was just a group of dancers that were good and wanted to be there. All of us wanted to be there, or seemingly. I don't know. I can't speak on other people, but we did it for the heck of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you try to put yourself in spaces like that. I think a big inspiration now, or thinking right now, just like my favorite, fondest moments on stage or performing or dancing or even in a class, I have a lot of fun with the people I know. So like, I don't know, I really enjoy dancing with Danielle Moulton, because you can joke around with her while dancing on stage and it will still be nice. Or not even on stage. Like, I've only performed on stage with her like once. But in class, where, you know, you can kind of, you know, just vibe with her. So she's cool. But I don't know. Today, dance is more of a car activity. I don't do it all that often. And when I do take class, I have to stretch before and after.
You know.
It's like the worst. It's honestly the best purchase of my life right now is my Theragun.
I love that
And it's only because after class, I can essentially just use it, and it just massages my muscles for me, even though I don't have any. Oh yeah.
I hate you. A little shout out to Theragun.
Oh yeah, sponsor us. Paul George. But yeah, dances again, it's always been there. It will always be there. I feel like I have been blessed with a talent that I didn't necessarily use to my full advantage, but it's something that's still there. You know what I mean? I just do it when I want to. I do it when I feel the need to. You know what I mean? Usually that's when I'm just like sad, but that's only because I feel like my movement vocabulary just resonates with sad songs. But usually, actually not right now. I just choreographed to Mamma Mia. Shout out to
Just for fun? Just for fun?
You want to learn it?
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta. Yes. You know, I'm the first one that's down. You gotta send me the video.
It's so fast, but it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
Oh my god! Of course, it's fast.
I can't do it because I can't move like that anymore. But it's fun.
Okay, so when we get off of here, we'll have to talk about that. I think just getting to that, Karsten. One thing before we segue into the next thing, it's, you know, that term that was coined, urban,
Hmm.
that was finally kind of xed out. I remember you were the first person. I mean, I kid you not. Since day one, when you and I really started to connect with and talk about dance, it's probably like our second or third year, and when we just had more conversations, and you were always, you never like you just never really used it. You were always just like, it's just movement. Like all we're doing is we're just doing movement, and I always really appreciated that. I felt like I was never like, we just kind of get caught up with like promoting classes and like having to use the term, but like when we talked every single time, it was always like we're all doing movement and it's our own vocab and it's our own experiences. And I always really appreciated that about you and dance, like just really just respecting and knowing where it's come from. And at the end of the day, we're all just doing movement. And why is it coined this stupid term? But
Hmm.
um, anyway, just kind of now, Karsten, I think a big thing that we all kind of deal with, and it's a fun thing that we're still navigating is post grad. And from what I remember, one of the first things you were doing in post grad was you were actually getting back into dance and doing it a little bit more seriously. So if you can just talk about that, and then just talking about the post grad journey and kind of where it's taking you up into present day.
Uh, I mean, I don't know if you can consider it post-grad because I was still in school, but back in 2016, I guess I moved to North Hollywood, Studio City, with my roommate and my girlfriend at the time, and tried to dance, but I wouldn't say I tried to dance. I went out to one audition, and after that, I didn't go. I
Mm-hmm.
forgot that it was just, I don't know. It was just, I just didn't try again. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I was out there solely for the fact of being out there rather than dancing. I didn't go to class.
Mm,
I didn't, it's like you're right there. Millennium was down the street. Um,
yeah.
Everything was down the street for me, and I didn't do anything. So I don't know about trying to go. I mean, yes, I guess I was saying that, but
Yeah.
I didn't if I'm to be honest with myself, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what I try to be nowadays, is I didn't try. I was, you know,
Yeah.
it was again more of a social sort of thing. Yeah, and again, I was trying to balance that with school. It was where was that? That was 2016.
Mm-hmm.
2016 was a pretty rough year. So um, that was kind of a year of a reset sort of thing.
Mm.
Uh, Hit the pause button to reset. That was 2016 for me.
And then moving on, I mean, so maybe kind of skipping over to you finishing, when you said you finally, finished officially in 2018,
Mm-hmm.
maybe just kind of taking us through maybe just the places you worked at or like what you were doing in terms of, outside of, or when you officially finished school, whatever you feel comfortable sharing with us up until what you're currently kind of doing and kind of up to.
So I guess I've been fairly secretive of my life. Is that a honest statement?
I would say it's pretty, yeah, because I know even a lot of people would like ask me, and I'm like, even if I did know, like that's between him and I if you want to share that. But yeah, it's yeah, I would say that's a pretty fair statement.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to. I don't want to like say something, but I'm pretty sure I've been pretty secretive about my life, and not just because. I mean, one was a lot of pride, one was a lot of embarrassment, and another one was just I I I don't have to tell you what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, um, post grad. So in 2016, when I was kind of still in school but not really in school, and then dancing but not really dancing, I burned through a lot of my money.
Mm,
I mean, yeah, I burned through like a lot of my money, not only with rent but with doing nothing. I think I
mm,
took a, yeah, yeah, it was not dumb. So I picked up a day job. I picked up a job that I didn't tell anyone about.
yeah.
Again, it was a lot of pride, a lot of embarrassment. I worked at a theater. I was a theater manager for like a year and a half, something like that.
barely making over min, and at the time just on my own. And that was, I mean, again, I love the whole experience. I can't speak enough about it, but I worked at a theater job for quite a bit. And then when I finally finished, while I was finishing, so like winter, like January, February, I would start applying for, just technician jobs, not like medical technician jobs. I was still trying to go into the health field. So that's what I did. I landed a solid gig at an ophthalmology practice in Torrance, where I live now, and was fortunate to work there for quite a bit of time. I worked at an ophthalmology clinic, retina specialty, for 2018 until March of this year. So right before COVID, the shutdown, I worked there. And again, it was amazing experience. A great doctor, a lot of patients, fast paced, a true workforce sort of thing. You kind of just got dumped in there, or not dumped in there, but like you jumped in and a lot was expected, and I like that. And you learned on the fly, and I don't know, I learned a lot, and I grew a lot in terms of being able to be a good worker. I think a lot of I'm sort of a, how am I supposed to phrase this? I'm sort of a I don't want to say workhorse, because I don't think that's the right term, but I kind of just keep working. You know what I mean? I keep my head down and I work.
Yeah.
I don't complain. I don't. I do what's asked of me, and then I do it well. You know what I mean? I try to excel in what I'm doing. So, doing that, I I had a good job. I was happy, and then I moved over to a different ophthalmology practice that I work at now. That's up in West LA. Again, great doctor, amazing bedside manner, and it's a different experience in the sense that it's a smaller practice. It's just myself and the doctor, and then we have an outside consultant sort of thing. So it's a rather than kind of working in an established provider, an established doctor, I'm working for someone that's ambitious and someone that's young, someone that's hungry, someone that wants to grow, and it's very inspirational. Like one thing that he does is he wipes the floor with baby wipes, and like literally scrubs our floors. If there's if you see something that just wear and tear with shoes, he gets on the ground, and it shows a lot to his leadership. It starts from the ground up sort of thing. And to see him do that, it makes me want to work harder. You know what I mean? It makes me want to help him grow, help his practice grow, help our practice grow at this point. You know what I mean? So it's like the same but different. It's a good adjustment sort of thing. But I guess that's what I'm doing now. Still, I'm a ophthalmic technician, if you want to label me, but I run the office.
Yeah. Well, one, thank you for being so transparent with that journey. Obviously, it's never just going to be the good things. There's a lot of roller coasters, and one of the things I loved about us is that we always stayed in touch. And whether it was months or even a year, it always felt like it was just yesterday that we were talking. And I know there was moments that you didn't know if you were going to continue to be able to live in LA, and it's so awesome to see you working your butt off and ultimately working those things into existence, and now being at the place that you're at. I just want to share a quick memory with you, Karsten. One of my favorite memories, and a little bit more recent, was post grad, and it was when you and I watched ABT's Nutcracker, and you and I barely made it. I don't know
But
if
we
you
didn't even
remember.
watch it together.
Well, okay, but we went and we planned to, and we took, at the time we took, our own people. But I remember just you and I running and
We didn't carpool.
we did
We like caravan.
we
That's the term.
caravan,
We
yeah.
caravan. Oh my God! But we like lost each other, didn't we?
We lost each other, and I don't know if I
And then I don't
told you.
know how, but like we met each other at the parking
We
structure. I remember this.
met each other at the parking structure, and it was incredible because, for those that don't know, like if you are late to a professional show like that, you don't get to
Done.
go in till after intermission. And we
Yeah.
had paid some good money, and we were like, we're gonna see Misty Copeland at Seagerstrom. There's no way we are missing this.
There was no way
And
I was
I don't know
missing
if I
Misty
told you
Copeland.
this, but on the way there, when I was driving, I apparently cut off a motorcyclist, and the motorcyclist actually drove up to my, like, was driving on the freeway, drove up to my car, punched out my side mirror.
For real?
So my mirror was dangling when I was driving to the thing, and I was like, it was in the
He
parking lot.
punched it that hard?
He punched, yes, it was wild. And then he punched out, gave me the finger, and just sped off. And I was like, yo, I'm still making the show. I had to pop it back in, like, as we were, it was just a lot of
That's
just like,
dangerous.
yes, no, it was, and it's just cool that we get to laugh about it now because I remember
Oh,
you and I just
I
couldn't
was
stop.
frightened.
You and I just couldn't stop laughing. We're just like, we're gonna make it, we're gonna make it. And it was just,
I was it felt like I was on pre-workout. I felt like my body was shaking,
yeah.
and then the person I brought, she was also kind of, or no, she was there before me, but like we kind of arrived at the same time,
Hmm.
and we were like running. We were running,
Yeah.
and then when we got to our like the will call, and they're like, "Oh, you got to go to the different place to pick up your tickets or something like that." And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna miss this."
Yeah.
It was so bad that the people next to us like had their belongings like laid out on the chairs because they thought no one was coming.
Oh,
Literally,
awkward.
we sat down, and then the lights turned on.
Same. Yes, right.
"Amen, I say to you."
And it was incredible. Yes. Um, with that being said, Carson, first of all, you taking us through your narrative and you having so much inspiration provided from your siblings and your parents and going through the ups and downs of transitioning from private institutions, going to UCLA and finishing that out and navigating post grad. I just wanted to know, what would you say to your 13-year-old self?
Uh, I don't know. That's a hard question. Oh, something that, I mean, it's not something that's new, but something that I kind of try to take with me everywhere nowadays is no one will care about your life more than you. Um, so I would probably say that to my 13. I mean, there would be a lot of things I would say to my 13-year-old self. How old are we when we were 13?
Eighth
Or
grade going into ninth grade.
how
Yeah, I
old
was
are
like,
we? Yeah, I mean, that's probably the main thing is no one will care about your life more than you. So it's what you make of it and not what others can do for you. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things I can say. I'll be like, it's okay that the Warriors are right because they're going to be boss in about a decade. But
had
they
to
are
go there.
again.
Had to go there.
I would probably say
Um,
like, just make sure you moisturize. You got to prepare yourself uh, at least 10 to 12 hours beforehand. And then just give as much as you can, give as much as you can of yourself to others, but also take for yourself as well.
mm,
You know what I mean? It's okay to be selfish sometimes. And I'm still learning that process. I'm very much, I don't want to say I'm a giver because it's weird to say. But, you know, uh, especially now during this whole quarantine and being at home all the time, just going to work and home, work and home. Um, it's nice to have the people that you have. You know what I mean? It's nice to be able to connect with the people that you want to connect with, and that starts with being there for them. You know, give as much as you can, but then also enjoy the friendship that other people have. You know, I've been so used to being essentially by myself and um, figuring it out all on my own, but uh, I love the people that I love. You know, I appreciate their friendships. I appreciate the guidance. I appreciate their support, yourself included, and all that. It's it's hard to kind of just singularize what I would say to my 13-year-old self, but there's there's so much you can say. But at the end of the day, life it is what it is, and I wouldn't take back my journey, sort of thing. And there's still so much to do. You know, there's still so much I want to accomplish. There's still so much I I want. So, and I don't think I would have the wherewithal to do that if I didn't go through what I did now. You know what I mean? So, yeah, live, laugh, love, right?
You just had to. Oh man, Carson, it's always a bunch of different emotions and a bunch of laughs with you, and I love that. And I just want to say thank you, Karsten. One, for giving us your time and being so transparent about your story. You had said it, you know, you're a pretty private person, and I know it takes a lot, you know, for you to open up like that. And so I really appreciate it, and I know that you sharing your story and navigating your narrative is going to help, you know, not just me in listening, but those that are tuning in to your story as well. So just want to say thank you, and I
Oh,
hope.
we're done?
Yeah, we are done. We're getting out of here, sir. I just
I thought
hopefully
I thought
hopefully
I
we
thought this
can
was the halfway point. I
hopefully
thought we
we
were gonna go
can
into
do it.
inspirations. I thought we were
Oh
gonna go
my goodness.
into.
Well, we'll have to do a follow up. This is just like surface level of you, and hopefully we can do a follow up with you at some point, especially with, you know, COVID going to be in effect for a while. So
Wait. I just want to
go ahead.
thank you for having this platform, first of all. But I don't know how many times you get the chance to share your story. Have you?
Um, I haven't. Yeah, this is, you know, this has been, you know, for it's really trying to elevate and to amplify for others, but I haven't personally. No.
But like, would you like to? When
Yeah,
are you
but
going to?
you know, I haven't figured that out yet. I don't know if that's gonna be a solo thing, or I'm gonna have a cohort of people, or I haven't actually thought about that. Um, I think.
Because I wouldn't say that I'm a creative, but like you kind of said that you are trying to transitioning into yourself into being a creative. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think that's a cool thing, and I think that your story also counts and your story also matters. So if you want to share anything, you're more than welcome to. I know it's not my platform, but hey, let me ask a question.
No, I know. One, I appreciate that, and then you're the first person to actually ask me that. So, one, thank you, and this is why you're here, because, you know, I love you, and you do things like this that are completely unconventional and very Karsten. But yeah, I'm gonna have to do that at some point. I don't know when that will be. Kind of focused on this series, but um, thank you for being encouraging in that. If there was ever a doubt, now I don't have that doubt, and now I'm gonna run with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's important. Like, again, you're asking all these people uh, to share their story, but what about the person that's creating this? You know what I mean? I feel like that's a big thing. Again, it's a joy to have a space to talk, and it's a great thing to do, especially nowadays where we're all. I'm at home. You're probably at home. Our production assistant's probably at home. So, uh, so it's nice to have that space to talk to. I mean, it's weird that's probably gonna be public, but
Yeah.
um, you know, you're a homie. Um, Shout out to all the homies.
Bars.
Bars? Oh man. Oh man.
Oh, Karsten,
Mm.
it's this has been probably one of the more fun ones that I've ever done. So I just want to say thank you, man. It's I didn't know what your reaction was going to be to doing this, but I didn't believe it until you actually
I'm still
logged
so
on
nervous.
and
You
came
can't
on.
tell, but I'm sweating.
I mean, knowing you, I know that you are, and it's so awesome to know that you were still like,
It's
it just
like,
shows how much you're
oh
down for
man.
this.
Oh, it's like I'm in Harry Potter. The, the worst part was the Dementor.
Oh my goodness, dude. But Carson, we gotta do this again. We gotta run this back. We gotta get into other things. So hopefully we can do a follow up with you at some point. But I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for you just giving us, the time today. I know you just got through a full days of work, but hopefully there's a takeaway for you too. And I'm looking forward to the next time that you and I get to catch up.
Hopefully in person.
Absolutely, with
Well,
our masks on.
hopefully there's a vaccine by then.
So in like 5 years.
Who knows? But yeah, man. Thank you again for having me. Very blessed to be here. Very blessed to be healthy. Very blessed to be safe. I hope you stay the same. Stay safe. Have a good summer. Hags.
Love you, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye bye.